Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a ham and noodle casserole that Mom learned how to make when she was in the brownies. First you're going to need 2 cups of egg noodles cooked. These are no yolks, but whichever. 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of butter because we're going to make a roux to make some white sauce. You're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt depending on how salty your ham is. 2 cups of ham. This is kind of overflowing a 2-cup measuring cup. 2 cups of milk. And this is whole milk, and you're going to need 3/4 of a cup to a cup of grated American cheese. You'll need a 2-quart casserole dish. First, you're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. This is a 2-quart saucepan, half full of water. You need to make 2 cups of cooked noodles. Using a box grater, I'm going to shred some white American cheese. What you do is you go to your deli counter and you ask them for 1 or 2 or 3-inch block of American cheese. It's their slicing cheese, and you can come home and grate it. You could substitute other cheeses if you wanted, but this recipe is made with American cheese and it's shredded, and this is the best way to get it. I have a box grater with a collector plate in the bottom. But you might want to put a plate under here. So Mom learned how to make this recipe when she was in the brownies, and she does have a very particular taste. So you could probably swap out shredded Swiss cheese, or they have a shredded Velveeta, which would probably be really nice. But she was always a very big fan of American cheese, and American cheese was always the way she would go. But I'm sure this would be delicious with any kind of cheese that you could put into, really like macaroni and cheese. So Fontina or Gruyere, anything that you like, as long as it's shredded and you can spread it out all over it. That's all you need to know. So when your water comes to a boil, you want to salt it. This is kosher salt. I put enough just so it slow boils. That means usually enough salt, my dad taught me. And then I'm just going to fill it with egg noodles. You need 2 cups cooked, which is hard to guesstimate raw. Because they definitely take on their own personality. No, I'm just kidding. They expand, so it's hard to know. But if you cook at least 2 cups dry, you'll get more than 2 cups raw. Cooked, because they expand when they cook. Okay? And then, once you put the noodles on, and it comes back to a boil, you reduce it to medium, like you're making any pasta. Let them boil. You go ahead and start your bechamel. You do that, your white sauce. You do that because you need them both done around the same time, and that's how fast white sauce goes. So this white sauce recipe is for thin white sauce. So you might find in different recipes the proportions of milk and butter. Butter and flour to milk are different. Really good ratio is 1 to 1 to 1, except it's tablespoons to cups. So a tablespoon of butter to a tablespoon of flour to a cup of milk is usually a really good ratio. This is going to be a thin white sauce. It's going to take a little bit less butter and a little bit less flour and a little bit more milk. Okay, and we need 2 cups when it's done. So we're going to use 1 1/3 tablespoon of butter and 1 1/3 tablespoon of flour to 2 cups of milk with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So with the pan on high, got 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 2 2 tablespoons of flour. This is a mason jar with a cheese grater lid on it that I keep my cooking flour in. It shakes on this side and you spoon on that side. And you get your whisk. And you cook this butter and flour so you get a nice roux. I'm going to lower my pan now to medium. And once I've cooked up all the flour, which should just take a second at this heat, you pour in your milk. And whisk and whisk and whisk. Whisk up all that flour and buttery goodness. You don't have to stir constantly, I just do. Shit. And then I curse. That's how I keep my stove so clean. Since you asked. Oh. Add the salt. Quarter teaspoon of salt. For flavor. So I was hoping you'd be able to see the consistency. It sort of starts to get like a little filmy on the top, and it wakes a little slower when you whisk through it. The one thing you don't want to do is scald your milk. That just changes the flavor. That's why I move it all the time. I didn't grow up learning how to do this sauce. I learned this sauce as an adult, and I don't know the finesse just yet of its doneness, you know. So, but you see how it's sort of waking a little slower. It's done. So we're going to take it off its heat. Starting to just bubble, just there. Take it off its heat, and don't just turn the burner off, especially if you have an electric stovetop, because that won't get cold anyway. My noodles are done, so we're going to drain the noodles. Let's cut that off. You can tell your noodles are done if you've never made egg noodles before. They get sort of soft and become opaque. Okay. You always want to make sure your sink is empty and clean, because water will pool and collect. And let this cool for a second. Get those noodles out. Give it a little shot there. It's going to go in the oven now, but you want to be able to have it stop getting yucky. So now we're going to assemble. Let me set up the camera so we can assemble. It's going to go noodles, ham, cheese, sauce. Noodles, ham, cheese, sauce. Okay? We get half the noodles, which if you're measuring is a cup and a cup. Half the ham. This recipe was requested because you guys saw the ham that Mom purchased, the whole ham, and wanted to know what I mentioned that we got it for this casserole, and we wanted to see the recipe. So I'm going to link that shop with me video down below so you can see what the ham looked like before we chopped it up. And this is 2 cups, but it's a little bit more. Mom likes to overflow the 2-cup measuring cup. Okay. And then cheese. Now her recipe is for just 2/3 of a cup of grated American cheese, because she doesn't care for much cheese. But me and Jim like it heavy on the cheese, so what I do is I do a little on one side and heavy on the other. So, and at the end will be like, you'll be able to distinguish, because I'll cheese the top the same. Okay, and then you want to whisk up the top, because it will create a film. Even that short time it was just sitting there waiting for us to put it together, it sort of creates like a film. So just whisk the film back in. It's not objectionable, it dissolves again. And you're going to do half of the sauce, evenly spread over. And again, if you wanted to measure, it's a cup. Okay, it does sink right in, so that's kind of good. You guys can see that. If you need to move it around or any of that stuff. If you want to use a ladle, you can use a ladle. And then the rest of the noodles, which is another cup. And the rest of the ham, which is another cup or so. I don't want to just pour it, because when I defrost it, it gets like this liquid on the bottom, and I've learned the hard way. We don't want to just pour it on there. So I'm actually dumping it in the colander for you guys, if you hear that. Now that the colander is empty. And we'll top the cheese the same way, but I'm going to leave a little for the end so that we know which half is the really cheesy half. Like I said, Mom likes a little cheese. Jim and I really like it cheesy. And then the rest of the sauce, again, drizzled over as evenly as possible. There's no science to it. It will bubble, so even if you think you have a dry spot or something. And I like to get good to the last drop. You guys know that about me. Why leave any for the dishwasher? And not the dishwasher, I don't wash my pots like that, but you know, the person who does the dishes. Okay, and then I'll just take a little bit of the reserved cheese. Let's put a piece of ham there for Mom. And I'll sprinkle it on top on this side so we know which side is the cheesiest. And that's it. It goes in the oven. Your preheated oven for 400 degrees goes in there for 20-25 minutes. And that's it. So think about it. Just because everything's cooked already, you just want to do it till it's done to your liking. So it's got a little bit of golden brown color. It's got a little bit of golden brown color on the cheese. This side's our half. And you want to let it sit for 5 minutes, just like everything. So that's it, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this recipe with friends and family. It is really wonderfully quite easy. Mom learned how to make it when she was in Girl Scouts. So you know, oh, excuse me, brownies. So you know it's easy for kids. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. So as always, take care. God bless. See you next time. Bye.